Nope, I'm done. Nope.
Hello. How'd you like the intro? Anyway, while you guys wait for part 2 where I torture my friends in the backrooms in Minecraft, which by the way is blowing up, thank you, I'm going to give my overall review of the movie. So spoilers, don't watch this unless you've seen the movie or you just don't care and you're not going to see the movie. So I know in the first part of my video, I gave the movie a 6 out of 10 and said it was confusing. After the movie, though, and after I already made that clip and posted the video, I did some research about how the actual movie, to understand the ending. And now that I understand everything in the movie, I give it a solid 8 out of 10 instead of 6. It's a good movie once you understand everything. This is for later. But just some of the things I thought were good. First of all, people are saying that they really wanted bacteria, the wired monster that you find in, the YouTube series. And they wanted that instead of the still lifes. But honestly, I feel like the movie was better with still lifes because it would give more potential. And bacteria would the still lifes would have more of a thought process, while bacteria would just be a mindless killing monster. While I feel like Captain Clark, or the still life version of it, would be... I just feel like it was a better option to have that. And also, you just have to think that this movie was made by a 20-year-old. The director was a 20-year-old, which is pretty crazy. That originally this was made by a photo of some store being rebuilt. I forgot what store. And Kane Parsons, the director, when he was 16, edited and made the Backrooms thing on YouTube, which is pretty cool. Some other things is, I found this, I don't know what to call it. I would say, a connection, where in the movie, Mary, it shows, clips of Mary as a child having, sort of an abusive mom, or, a horrible, life. And that would be her trauma in the movie, not, quotation mark, but still trauma in the movie. And Clark's trauma was obviously being kicked out of the house, being a failed architect. Don't yell at me, Clark. Being a failed architect and living in a rundown, not popular furniture store. So, and it kind of shows a similarity that Mary doesn't let her trauma affect her, and she was the one to be able to escape the backrooms. Meanwhile, Clark, the entire, part of the thing, of the movie, he wasn't able to let it, he lets his trauma hold him back and affect him, which is why he has, a drinking problem. And, oh, someone's calling me. Just freaking group chat. Don't care. Anyway. But I forgot what I was saying now. Give me a second. Alright. Meanwhile, Clark, he let his trauma hold him back, which let him build more of a drinking problem than he already had. So, which kind of shows he wasn't able to escape while Mary was. And there was a line in the movie about, bringing down your inner walls, which kind of, shows that Mary didn't let her trauma hold her back, and she was the one to escape the backrooms, meanwhile Clark wasn't. So, that's something. And then just to understand Clark a bit more, which makes you kind of feel bad for him. So, yeah, so in the end thing, when it shows a bunch of... First, I'll explain, how the backrooms worked in the movie, and I'll explain the ending. So, in the end, it shows a guy, I think his name was Phil, who works for Async, interrogating Mary about the backrooms. And it cuts to a bunch of sets or settings we've seen in the movie recreated in the backrooms, and things are no clipping. And then it shows a scene of the exact same interrogation room in the backrooms, the table's no clipping, and a still life version of Mary. Some people were saying Mary was hallucinating the whole thing, and she actually just went insane in the backrooms. But no. Clark says before in the dining room scene that the backrooms tries to remember things. And the more it remembers, the more it messes things up while it puts it in the back rooms. So when we saw Mary in the thing, that was when we saw the still life version of Mary in the back rooms, that was like the back rooms recreating it, which is pretty interesting, which means like obviously all the furniture, all the stuff we saw in it was the back rooms trying to recreate stuff into the actual back rooms. And what I was thinking, what I try to make like a sort of prediction or theory was that the more like in the past an event or something happened, the more it would be messed up in the back rooms. Because when you try to remember something more in the past, you have to try to remember more. So when Clark says the more the back room tries to remember something, the more it like misshapes it. So, which is why Mary only had like, the still life version of Mary didn't have that much differences. It was only the face that was a bit like messed up. Meanwhile, some of the other still lifes we saw, like the fat guy sitting at the table, he had 6 eyes and 2 mouths. Then the other guy sitting in the corner with the lamp had like a hand coming out of his other hand, which was like kind of a bit more messy than the still life version we see of Mary. Captain Clark is a different thing. Captain Clark is also a little bit more messed up, but still. And then, so that's to understand the ending. And just saying, I saw like an interview thread that Kane Parsons said he wanted to add more to the movie, but then the movie would be way too long. Like the movie's already like an hour, 45 minutes, so there is going to be sequels. He said, so expect more because I'm not done with the Backrooms. He wanted to add more to the movie that he couldn't, so that's why he left it and ended the movie like that. And then now for Clark, so in the end of the movie, when it's showing you all the missing settings, it shows like a lamppost and then like it spirals down. But on every single lamppost, there's a missing poster for Clark's 2 co-workers, Kat and Bobby, I think his name was Kat and Bobby, missing posters because they died in the background. Well, we know Bobby died to Captain Clark, but I'm pretty sure Clark ate Kat as we saw her dead body in the fridge. Anyway, we saw Kat and Bobby's, which led to the point that people wondered why Clark didn't have a missing poster. And that led to the conclusion saying that Clark he had no one in the real world to put him up as missing. No one really cares for him in the actual world or noticed he would go missing because he didn't feel wanted or he had no one in the real world, which just makes you kind of feel bad for him. And yeah, he just has he had no one in the world, which is, I'll explain more later when it's time for powerful, amazing lines, aka PAL. I came up with that while driving home last night. Pretty crazy. So we have 3 lines on this paper right here, and I'll read them off, and then I'll just try to say it's somewhat significant, or just having it be powerful. Sometimes I'm scared. The first line, sometimes I'm scared I'll get lost. That one was just like, it seemed important. In the trailer, it sounded like someone was like crying, or like saying it through tears, while in the actual movie, it was just Clark talking to the therapist. It didn't sound as emotional as it did in the trailer. But I wish it was a bit like it was said emotionally in the trailer, like someone in the real world saying that sometimes I'm scared I'll get lost. But still, it sounded like a pretty significant line. Hold up. Sorry, I thought I heard someone ring the doorbell. I was wrong. No one was there. Unless I just got whatever it's called, door dashed. No, whatever. They ring the bell and wrong. A ding dong ditch, that's what it's called. Anyway, next line was said by Mary in the dining room scene. You want to know the real reason your wife left you? It wasn't the drinking, or the stumbling home at all hours, or the rage. It was the whining. Nothing's ever your fault, is it? You drink too much? Blame your job. You hate your job? Blame the world. You get kicked out of the house? Blame your wife. You attack me and tie me up? Blame your brain. You are your fucking brain, you dipshit. Anyway, that was also an important line because it makes Clark realize that he made many mistakes in his life. And yeah, it just shows that he's obviously been through a lot, but he went down the wrong path to make it work better. All right, last line said by Clark, not soon after the Mary line I just said. I don't want to change. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. First of all, this line was said really well. Clark and Mary had great acting in the scene, especially Clark, to make us feel a bit more emotional. But to go back to the quote I said that I would talk about more, this one I don't want to change. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. This line just makes you kind of feel bad for Clark more once you understand that he has no one in the real world. He feels like he wants to be in the Backrooms more because of the still lifes give him some sense of presence or some sense that someone is there. And it's very sad that he has to rely on sort of inanimate and not talking still lifes. And then he gets shot to death by Captain Clark. And yeah, he sadly dies. When he finally was getting things right and helps Mary out, Captain Clark walks in and bites into his neck like the bite of 87. I know, funny guy here. Not funny. All right. Anyway, other parts I liked about the movie, the beginning scene. The first scene in the movie, like the introduction scene, the introduction scene was like 5 minutes, and it was great. I liked how it gives us a nice introduction to what we're dealing with. The scene where he's just looking down the hallway, and we see a door open and a shadowy figure walk out, great. The other scene when Clark is alone in that sort of pool room, and something picks up the camera. Heart dropped to my ass. Crazy to say that. But, yes, heart dropped. And the other... And then the other thing, the chase scene was decent. And though some people are saying, so Captain Clark was a... in the movie overview, Captain Clark was the still life and an embodiment of all of Clark's anger and resentment and all his bad emotions built into a still life. So that's why he was so mad and killed Clark and chased after Mary. But people are wondering why when Captain Clark was jumped on top of Mary and Mary was sprawled below him, Captain Clark didn't hurt Mary, which was crazy. The Captain Clark still life just kind of yelled at her and didn't really try to hurt her, which he could have easily done. He was in bite's reach like he did with Clark, or did he have a hook for her hand? I don't know. But still, he had the easy chance to at least try to harm Mary, but it didn't. Which was kind of show that the embodiment of Clark's emotions realized that Mary was the one person trying to help the actual thing of Clark, so that's why it didn't hurt her. I don't know, but I'm really excited for next movies, see what they do, and see what happened to Mary. If Mary, they might kill, people are saying they might kill Mary. Phil said they don't know what they're going to do to her, in the interrogation scene, which is pretty crazy. And then all the camera scenes, when it's in the point of view of the camera were great. I love those scenes. And when Bobby's death, when he gets dragged, when we see him get the rope get tugged and he falls down and he gets dragged down the thing, and then we get another scene of him getting like a bloody thing, and him getting dragged into a door that shuts. In the picture that I showed with me and my friend in the theater, we looked at each other and he said, "Bobby's dead as hell." We all knew Bobby was just done for. Anyway, that's my overall thing of the movie. And as you saw, I will not be investigating that thing, that little wall portal there, up there. I will not be doing that. I will actually cry if, yeah. We all know that's fake. Anyway. Well, thanks for watching. I'm going to try to get the second part of the Backrooms Minecraft video as soon as possible. But thank you for making that my new #1 video. I was sick of my #1 viewed video being my first video. Draw me, but I draw them poorly. I barely like that video. And somehow it was my best. Somehow my face reveal didn't pass it only by like 10 to 15 views. But thank you. 7 subscribers away from 100. Subscribe. And like. And comment. Bye.